This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
Very good evening to everyone. It is Sunday night. It is on the ball. We've already got 8 of you waiting for the show to start. And this is probably the one you've all waited for because we've got Sutty joining us tonight. Sutty is my guest, and we're going to get stuck into quite a lot tonight. We're going to be talking about all the week's events, of course, but this is going to be a no-holds-barred chat. We're going to be talking about why have we not bought anyone, and when I say not bought anyone, I mean actually paid any money for anyone. Obviously, this week, since last week, Doherty's gone, Doherty's come in, Giles has gone, Chiquinho, Giles looks like he's going to go, Chiquinho's gone, Tony Roberts has gone, Hoover's gone, it looks like Raul Jimenez has gone. We will talk about the home shirt, we will get your questions answered, which will be the last segment, and on the agenda tonight, which is because Sutty's here, we're going to be talking about have FOSUN given up on Wolves. So there's a lot to talk about. And I know that Paul Harris, here he is. I said to Sutty before the show, I said, Paul's going to be happy about this one because I did sit, and I'm always a man of my word. I am a man of my word. I sat here and said 2 weeks ago, if we haven't signed anyone 2 weeks from tonight, I will be going from chilled out to concerned to worried. And to be fair, I'm quite a give them a chance type of person, and I am a little concerned. I'm not so chilled out anymore. Sutty, first of all, welcome to the show, mate. Great to have you on.
How are you, Dave?
I'm good, man. I'm looking forward to this one. How do you want to, before we get stuck into everything that's happened in the last 6 weeks, and I'll give you your take on that, how are you feeling as a Wolves fan right now?
Not surprised, Dave. Not surprised at all. As you well know, Dave, I do not trust these people one bit. I don't trust anybody, Dave, that tells me one thing and then sort of renegades on it. You've got to have a good reason to renegade on anything you tell me, especially in business. I run my own business, which is nothing as big as Wolverhampton Wanderers or FOSUN Group. But if you tell me you're going to do something, you make sure that you do it. It's quite simple. And if you don't, you want to have a good excuse. It's a bit like, Dave, as I was trying to put it into layman's terms, for me, it's a bit like meeting the woman of your dreams in a nightclub. And after the first year, it's going quite well. And the second year, it's going even better. Then the third year, Dave, she tells you that we're going to do all these great things together. And after year 5, Dave, she tells you all the things she told you in the previous 3 years were basically not true. What are you going to do, Dave? You're going to stay there with her, or just take it on the chin? I ain't. I'm off. Out you go. Out you go. I'm sick and tired of excuses off this lot. If you go back to the 23rd of October last year, we got pumped 4-0 at home by Leicester. And we had a real feisty debate after that game.
Yeah.
And I think that was a catalyst of sellers going. And I said to you, you can all check this, it's not just sellers that needs to go here. You can't blame Bruno Lage for everything. Bruno Lage went public when we were 5th, going for Champions League places and asking for centre forwards in a January transfer window. He was then told to keep his mouth shut. Okay? Scott Sellers went on record, if you remember as well, that season, saying any players that come in here, if I don't like them, they won't come. Right? Who employed Scott Sellers? And I think you'll find that's Jeff Shee and FOSUN Group. And FOSUN Group and Jeff Shee need to take a very good look at what they're doing. Because if this transfer window, Dave, don't kick in very, very fast, and I mean this week, that's a whole pre-season gone. And if you don't prepare properly, You must prepare to fail, Dave. And this is the most important part of the year. It's no good getting signings in the last week in August, because they ain't going to kick in until November. And we're going to be in trouble, big trouble. But I've got a funny feeling they're going to try and wing it and see what they can get up to before Christmas. And if we're in trouble, I think you might find they throw a bit of that 100 million quid they've just raked in at a January transfer window. And that way they'll always preserve their 180 million pound in TV revenue. But one day it'll backfire on them.
Well,
they ain't cut out for it, Dave. Go to Thomas Cook and run Thomas Cook. It's fine running Thomas Cook. You've not got 50, 60,000 supporters, 30 that go to every home game, and however many's all around Molyneux and all around the Midlands, watching your every move. It's a totally different game, this, to Thomas Cook. If you haven't got the funds to run it properly, sell it. Sell it to somebody who has.
Well, I mean, yeah, we're going to get stuck into all of this. We got you say. I mean, I think it's at a point at the moment, isn't it? Like what you're saying. There's a lot of fans, a lot of Wolves fans that are out there currently that are frustrated. They're saying, "Oh yeah, we've bought in nearly £100 million in player sales. I think it's 47 million on Neves and a few million here and there. I think it's more like probably it's better. Someone tot it up in the.
I've totted it up, Dave. If we sell Podence, it'll be 105 million.
So if we sell Daniel Podence, it's 105 million pounds. So on the face of it, you think, oh yeah, well we've raised 105 million pounds. Now we can spend a load of money, but it doesn't actually work quite like that with regards to FFP. So I'm just going to try and do a little article on the alwayswolves.co.uk website. I also did a video on this about FFP to try and explain how FFP works. I'm not a big fan of FFP because I think it keeps the big clubs where they are and it stops smaller clubs gaining ambition. But the rules are there. Wolves' financial situation, and this was put together by the producer who did a lot of research. Wolves posted a loss of 46.1 million in the last financial year, followed by a net transfer spend of around about 100 million. So that's 146 million there straight off. The last window's signings totaled 117 million, 16 million in 2021, 74 million in 2022. So that's the reason why in year 3 they're having to try and cut the cloth a lot more on the FFP. The way it works with buying players, so if Wolves buy a player for £10 million all up front, they do get a £10 million asset. So that balances itself out. So as it says there, the FFP impact is 0. If Wolves pay 2 million cash and then the other 8 million instalments, they still get a £10 million asset, but there's an £8 million liability, so there's no impact there. What happens with FFP comes in the asset depreciation, and each year it ticks down on a player's contract. That player becomes less and less valuable. So over a 5-year period, it would lose 20%. So if Wolves get money coming in over a 5-year period, like some of these deals, I mean, maybe the Neves deal is £47 million all in one go. But if it's staggered over 4 or 5 years, we don't get that money in the accounts. So we could bring in 105 million, but it only be really worth 30 million, if you get me. And a lot of other people ask, why can't wealthy owners just inject capital? Such as we know FOSUN have got, technically are the 5th richest owners of a Premier League club in the Premier League. So can a wealthy owner just inject capital? The answer is, depending on the purpose, owners can invest for the development of the ground, training facilities and other infrastructure, which I do think is something we need to talk about on this tonight, mate, because there has been pictures put up on social media of how tatty Molineux is looking, and we've talked about the ground, and I think you made this point as well. But for FFP income is how much can be spent on players. Obviously, Wolves have recently taken on Shade Spirits as their Beijing partner, which FOSUN owns 70%. So that's a way of getting money into the club. If Wolves do not, and if any club does not abide with financial fair play, these are the punishments that can be instigated on a club. Just a reprimand, a fine, a points deduction. They can withhold revenue. They can stop you from registering new players. We saw stuff happen with Chelsea. Restrictions on how many players a club can register. And they can also disqualify you from a competition in progress and exclusion from that competition. That means exclusion from the Premier League, from, the FA Cup, things like that. So this is why Wolves have got to be particularly savvy this summer. And that's kind of like the ballpark of FFP. It's not as simple as raising £105 million and thinking, okay, now we can just spend willy-nilly. It doesn't quite work like that. What's your take on that, Sutty?
Every other club gets round it, Dave. Look, Everton are in trouble. We know Everton are in trouble. Spent £500 million on rubbish, basically, to get where they are. £500 million. I get it. That they have got to be reined in. I get it. They've wasted loads of money. Chelsea, they had a transfer embargo. They've just been and spent £600 million. How have they got away with spending £600 million?
Well, they aren't. This is why Chelsea, and I'm not defending FOSUN in any way, shape, or form, because I'm pissed. I'm a little bit peed off at the moment myself with respect of where we are with the transfers, and which is why I'm being honest and open and doing this debate. But Chelsea, this is why they're selling players to Saudi Arabia as well, to try and get that money, because the Bowleys come in there. They've had a scattergun approach, spent a load of money, and they're worse off than where they were before. And the point is, it's not about how much money you spend. It's how you spend the money, isn't it? Some of our best transfers have been Joe Moutinho and Dawson, under £5 million each.
I get that, Dave. Man City have got 151 breaches of financial fair play. They're saying it's going to take up to 5 years to get into court. 5 years. We're the only club who decide to use financial fair play as it stands. Why are we the only club?
I've got to agree with you I've got to agree with you about the Man City thing, and this is what most fans get very, very frustrated with, is the fact that they've got 100 and however many breaches, and they're trying to tie it up in legal tape for years and years and years, when it's almost like the Australians running out Burstow in the last cricket match. It's just not doesn't seem like that's fair. It by the letter of the law they can do that, but like, can they? But they are doing that. Carl's Porter, I mean, I have to bring this because I was going to bring this up myself. Newcastle are also, and I think I mentioned this to you earlier, are having to, and I was surprised by this, are also having to deal with FFP. They're looking to sign Harvey Barnes for around about 38 million, but they have got to get players off their thing as well to do that, which is why they're looking at selling a couple of players again to probably Saudi before they can buy. And that surprised me, because you wouldn't think Newcastle, with all the millions that they've got on their owners, but apparently they're having to be very careful with FFP as well. But like the situation is, regardless of all of that, we're 6 weeks into a transfer window. Wolves have set the world alight and got the fans incredibly excited by signing Tom King, nothing against the bloke, a free transfer from Northampton Town to come in as our third goalkeeper, off the suggestion of Tony Roberts, who now has left the club. And that's another thing that we're going to get into, what's going on there. And we've also brought in an old boy, Matt Doherty, on a free transfer as well, who at 31. I mean, out the two, the Matt Doherty one makes a lot more sense for me. you know. But what's your take on that so far?
Wow, I honestly, Dave, I'm at a total loss. I mean, if you look, I've not got a problem, and I said this to you at the end of last season, and up to February the season before has been nothing short of abysmal for this football club. It's unacceptable. So I said to you, I wouldn't mind anybody going. Now, this is the list of players.
Yeah, let's hear
I've got that have gone. So Adama, okay, he's out of contract. He might well come back. I don't know.
He might do, yeah.
Well,
there's a question on with Adama is like, what's going on with him? It's like 3 weeks from the start of the season and he's still in limbo. So he could come back. You don't know.
Could do. So as Adama, RJ9, obviously that looks like it's gone through. Neves, Collins, Giles, Cody, Pedence, because he'll go. Giammattino, Costa, Chiquinho, Hoover have gone on loan. Sarkic will go. Sanderson's gone. And now Tony Roberts, a coach, has gone.
Right? That's 13
now, I haven't a problem. As you well know, Dave, I don't pledge allegiance to any player. Me personally, I think the last 18 months has been absolutely shocking. And I don't blame Lopetegui. All he had to do last season was keep us up. He did an amazing job. Okay, we got pumped a couple of times away from home, but we stayed up. All of us would have took 13th. Let's not lie here. We would have.
Of course. I mean, 13th is unbelievable in the situation.
Well, from where we were, yeah. So, but the last 18 months have been shocking. I don't mind any single one of that list of players leaving. I don't buy into the King Neves thing. He's gone. I thought if he'd have been that good, Dave, Premier League clubs would have been queuing up for him at 25, 30 million. Absolutely queuing up for him. He ain't that good. He was good for Wolves. He ain't a worldie, Dave. You can try and butter it up all you like. Ruben Neves is not a world-class player. He was very good for Wolves, and I'm not knocking him. But thank you very much for the 47 million off your trot. You go and earn your 100 million, fair play, because I'd do exactly the same. Just get that out there. No problem in doing that. Securing his family. The rest of them, just get rid, have a good clear out. And when I see it all getting cleared out, Dave, all these players going, I'm thinking, ooh, thanks very much. This is looking quite good. We're now, let's take it 6 weeks next week, the transfer window opened. 2 weeks prior to that, they should have been on the ball with every player that they wanted. And there's tumbleweed floating around Molineux. It isn't on, Dave. They're taking the pee out of us.
Well,
it's not good enough. If we start the season like we did against Leeds last year with a bench like that at Leeds, where Cody was sat on the bench with a load of kids, honestly, Dave, we are bang in trouble, mate. Bang in trouble. And if they think that Silva, Sasa, and Cunha and all these players, and Neto, because he didn't play a full season last season, are we going to get the proverbial? It'll be like having 3 new players. 3 new players. Well, I'd love to see Silva bang 30 goals in and prove me completely wrong. I'll come in on here if I'm proved completely wrong, and I will hold my hands up. No, he's not world class. I didn't say he wasn't that. He ain't that good. He ain't world class. That's what I'm saying. Dead wood has gone out of this club. It was stagnant. It was stagnant.
I have to come back on your point on Neves, because to be fair, you make a very good point. And I think what you were saying is Neves, you know, if he was that good, you know, for £25 million, 30 million tops, another European
up for him.
Another European club would have come in. And I have to feel you can't blame Neves for taking the money and going to Saudi. And like, he's done Wolves a favour, really, because we've got an extra 20 million that we thought we wouldn't get. And, you know, we know he loves Wolves. We know he loves Wolverhampton. He really does. You saw the emotion when he was leaving. He's grown from a boy to a man here. And, you know, he's gone to Saudi. His dream move was Barcelona. They shafted him twice. They shafted him last year when he was going. They promised him this. he got personal terms agreed again for this year, and they've done him again. I mean, Barcelona shafted Wolves over Adama Traore, and they shafted Adama Traore. I haven't got a lot of time for Barcelona, to be honest. So he's gone there. Obviously, Cody, decent money for
Yeah,
for Cody.
happy with that. He ain't playing again, is he, Dave? Let's be honest. He'll sit on the bench if he was at our place.
He'll do a good job for. He'll do
Absolutely.
He will do a really good. Nathan Collins, 23 million.
Brilliant business.
The
kid was an absolute bag of nerves and a car crash waiting to happen every time he started. He got sent off against Man City for taking Grealish out, which was a red card. And since then, frightened the life out of me, Dave. We made, 5 million on him? Fantastic business. Take that all day long. Go and spend it on somebody. Well, if they spend it, it will be good business. If they don't, we're in trouble. What
is your take on, I'm not going to go on about Hoover because he wasn't really on the thing. What's your take on Chiquinho? Because like Chiquinho was someone I was like, and Giles, because he looks like he's going to be going for about £4 million to Luton, which I just think is ridiculously cheap for a player of his age, that's homegrown, that's been performing at a high level, that thinks value is only going to go up. I wanted to see both Giles and Chiquinho, who I was very excited with seeing last season before the injury. What's your take on Chiquinho being sent out, first of all, to Stoke for till January as an option to recall? Are you leaning on disappointment, or you think, well, he's just coming back from a long-term area, let's give the boys some proper game time and we can bring him back? And on Giles, because it looks like he's going to be sold now to Luton by the looks for about 4 million. What's your take on both of those?
Well, both of them, Dave. It says it smacks to me, Dave, that probably this boss doesn't really like young kids in the team. It's been proven over the years he likes a certain age group of player, sort of mid-20s onwards. They're the ones he trusts. Excuse me. Giles is a strange one to me, because I look at Giles as a bit like Matty Cash when he was at Nottingham Forest and the Villa bought him for 15, 16 million. Now, Matty Cash had never played a game in the Premier League, never. And then they paid 15 or 16 million for him. And he was every time he's played for Villa, he's been outstanding. So I don't get £4 million. Who's actually thought that one out? Because I'd be wanting 10.
Well, that's kind of the ballpark figure that I was thinking, to be honest. I mean, like, we saw Morgan go out for 35 million plus add-ons, and he's been great for Forest, to be honest. And I've got to be honest, when he went, I wanted to see Morgan given a proper go with the Wolves team last year, because I thought he was something different. I know he got to a lot of the Wolves players, fans and stuff like that, and he got a bit of abuse and he gave some back, which was a silly boy. But I think that lad has got undoubted talent, but we got good money for him, so fair play. But Ryan Giles, is he £30 million less than Morgan Gibbs-White when he was the top assist maker in the Championship for 2 years running?
Twice, yeah, I was going to say 2 seasons running.
It's a bargain. I know. Listen, I know that Rob Edwards is the manager of Luton, and Wolves have got a big history with Rob, and I know his agent is associated with an ex-Wolves player as well. But £4 million, it's like a gift to Luton for £4 million.
You mustn't give him away. £4 million is going to do nothing for us. Absolutely
I know
nothing.
there'll be sell-on or appearance options as well. Maybe that's built in, but that seems like a thing. Would you have preferred both to have stayed and be part of the
I think I probably would have kept Giles. Chiquinho, I get that. That's an horrific injury what he had, Dave. And if you pump him straight back into a Premier League fixture, the game might pass him by. There's a big difference between the Championship and the Premier League, isn't there? Now, what they have done, and I'll give them some credit for this because they haven't in the past, they've put recalls on January transfers to come back, like the loans to come back in January. So if he's really hitting the ground running, because I actually think he'll tear the Championship up, Chiquinho. And if he hits the ground running, I can see him coming back in January. But Giles, I don't get it. Why? Why £4 million?
I don't get that, because you've got to give credit to Hobbs, and you have got to give the guy some credit. £47 million for Neves.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. Tick. 7.5 million plus an extra million for Cody if they go up. Tick. Great. £23 million on Nathan Collins. I know we bought him for 20, but he wasn't starting under Lopetegui, so we've got an extra 3 million. I'll get the money, bring the money in. You know, we're probably going to get around about 8 to 10 million for Podence, I would have thought. You know, but £4 million for Giles.
Homegrown as well, Dave. English.
I don't buy it.
There's usually a premium on English players. As we've always said, with the likes of Giles, if he wasn't a Wolves player, would we all be saying, go and get that kid? We've got a 6'7" centre forward. That kid crosses balls.
Exactly, and the same with Chiquinho. Now, guys, this is like the biggest on the ball show that we've ever done since we've launched it. We've got over 400 of you watching this live right now. So let us know where in the world you're watching. If you do want to get involved in the chat and fire some questions at me and Sutty towards the end of the show, all you need to do is make sure you subscribe, and that means you can actually take part in the chat as well. And if you are enjoying it, as Few said, let's see whether we can get this over 100 likes on the video. So yeah, Sutty, a lot of people are really agreeing with Giles. Obviously, it's not been confirmed yet, but like I am a bit surprised with this. What is your take today? The news breaking today. I mean, broke late. I did an extra video on it. You know, the Mexican sensation has been a great servant for Wolves over the year. We've talked obviously a little bit out since his injury, obviously a little bit sort of neglected Wolves to make sure he went to the World Cup. Lopetegui didn't play him. He didn't get to come in, didn't bring him. He let him warm up last match of the season at Molineux, then didn't bring him up. Raul was really upset. Obviously, he played the last match of the season, year left on his contract, over in the Algarve, just getting over his groin injury. It's been announced today, this afternoon, for Fabrizio and then Percy and all the rest, that Wolves look like they're selling Raul Jimenez to Fulham for 5.5 million plus add-ons. Looks like he's left the Algarve to go to a medical at Fulham. What's your take on the Raul business?
Was it his final year, wasn't it, Dave?
His final year, 1 year left after this, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's about right, Dave. Look, let's not mess about here, Dave. When he came in the season we got promoted, and the next season up to when he got injured, the lad could have graced any football team in the Premier League and made them a better team. He was that good, I think. He was quick. He was strong. He was deadly in the air.
Could hold
deadly
the ball
on the ground. He was incredible, Dave. And then he gets this horrific injury. And he just ain't been the same. And football's a ruthless game, Dave. We cannot afford not to score goals this season. 31 goals home and away in the Premier League. You've been so lucky to stay up. You really have.
The year before, mate, we finished in the top 10 with a team that scored the lowest amount of goals as well.
Yeah, we've really got to change this, Dave, because I think if we score 30 goals again this coming season, we're relegated. Because I don't think as a defensive unit, I'm a little bit worried with being linked to 33-year-old fullbacks. That's the kind of player we're going for. Okay, he's proven Premier League, but if he ain't good enough for West Ham, he ain't good enough for me, to be honest. And
you want about Creswell now?
Yeah, you want big money, and it sounds like we ain't going to be paying too big of money. So I'm actually praying that he don't go, and I'd rather keep Giles than by Creswell. But on Jimenez, Dave, he's been an absolutely fantastic servant. And I hope he does well, apart from against us, obviously. I'd love to see the bloke scoring again. I just don't see it, Dave. He's changed 50% of the player now. And that ain't good enough for the Premier League, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, the reason that, let's face it, that Fulham are looking is, again, because Mitrovic, who's been a very loyal, again, Mitrovic is like their Raul Jimenez, to be honest, because he's been there. He's been on the yo-yo train with Fulham for a very, very long time. And he wants his payday in Saudi Arabia by the looks, and that's why they're looking at Raul Jimenez. He was the complete player, to be honest. And if he does go, he'll always be remembered for what he did under Nuno before his injury and everything. But Raul has also been on record saying he still wants to prove himself in the Premier League. And I think he wanted to do it with Wolves, but like Wolves are going to take the money. But this comes back again. And let's before we go on to the thing, Creswell obviously has been mooted. He's bought in Matt Doherty on a free for that right-hand side. We knew we needed another right-sided fullback. I know people said, well, Matt paid in a 5 for Nuno, but he has played many, many times in a 4. He's 31. He knows the club and he's got a lot of experience. He's a super fit guy. He could, for a free, and after selling him for 15 million and then bought him for 80 million, that's not a bad deal for me. Creswell is almost in the similar sort of mould on the other side that he's looking at. And I know I'm playing devil's advocate here. I know you're saying, well, if he's not good enough for West Ham, then how's he good enough for us? But Dawson came from West Ham and he's been our best player, really, towards the end of last season. With Lamina. He's
been outstanding, but he's a better player, Dave.
Yeah. So could Creswell not do the same thing?
Not in front of Bueno, no.
No, I don't think he would come in front of Bueno personally. I like Bueno. And this is another reason why I'd like to see Giles bought in. But again, all of these transfer reports, and I try and do 2 or 3 a week on the channel. We try and do reports on the website, so make sure you bookmark alwayswolves.co.uk. We try and round them all up. Scott, Alex Scott is another one. Wolves are going to go in for a 3rd bid for him. What's your take on Alex Scott? You're on about Lopetegui doesn't like young players. Alex Scott is 19 years of age. He scored, I think, 2 and assisted 3 in Bristol City's 8-0 win against Torquay yesterday. What's your take on Alex Scott? They call him the Guernsey Grealish.
Well, I was just going to say, if you go back to Grealish of about 6-7 years ago, Grealish has bulked out a lot now. But if you look at this wispy-looking kid that used to take players on, get the ball and drive forward, that is Alex Scott. We've gone in with 18 million quid. They've rebuffed that. We've gone in with 22, I believe. They've rebuffed that. They want 25. They're held out for 25. And it's gone dead. Completely dead. It's just nothing's happened since. Then I read a report today. Wolves are still interested in Alex Scott. If you're interested in him, go and buy him. If that manager tells you that is his number 1 target, go and get him. If you ain't careful here, the best manager that we've ever had on paper, because he's the only one that's won European trophies, is going to go walkabout, Dave. And then who are we going to have?
Well, to me, Bournemouth are another team that are apparently in for him. West Ham obviously have sold Declan Rice, so they've got the money, and they tend to be potentially in. If Wolves if Julian Lopetegui and Hobbs and the recruitment team want this lad and they believe that he's going to be someone that can come into our midfield and make things happen, then why are they faffing over £2 or £3 million if he's going to make the difference? They really want, because if they do drag the feet, someone else could swoop in and get him. Is he Is he going to be another Fabio Silva though? That's what they're worried about.
I've gone on to Bristol City forums, Dave, and asked them what they think. Honestly, asked them. I said, look, we're in for your star boy. What's he like? Is he good enough to play now? Now, they might have red and white blinkered glasses on, Dave, but they're convinced that that boy will be in the Premier League next year, whether it's with us or with someone else. So if he's good enough for someone else, short in the Premier League, and you let him play his natural game, he's got to be good enough for us, because at the moment, Dave, we don't look very good.
Well, this is it. So for you, if they want him, go and get him, give him a chance to get in and stuff like that.
We're losing the chance for him to bed in, Dave. As I say, 6 weeks. You got 6 weeks since the window opened on Wednesday, and then there was 2 weeks prior to that before a season finished. They should know who they want. They shouldn't be fanning around now looking at players. They should know their targets, and they'll have targets written down. First target. If we can't get him, then we go to him. If we can't get him, then we go to him. And if they're still fanning around now, there's no integration into a team that's just gone to Portugal again. They've just come back from Spain. Now they've gone to Portugal. This time will whistle by, Dave. And this is the most important part of the season, of integrating new players and getting current players playing to a system that this man wants them to. He didn't have time to do this when he first came in. All he had to do was keep us up. Any way he could, keep us up. There's no time for tactics. It's about grit and showing some determination. He did that. This was his 10-week window to put all his ideas over, and they have failed him. You can milk this up all you like. They failed him, Dave, because he now hasn't got that time. And we are going to be in the proverbial come the end of October if we're very careful. So if nothing happens this next week, Dave, then you want to worry, mate, because this lot are not playing ball with us. They don't talk to us. I don't expect to know everything, but they should drip feed us some bits. It's too secretive, Dave. We're not living in communist China here. This is Great Britain. We don't live like that here. It's time they came clean, Dave, on their aspiration for this club. I am sick and tired of just doing enough. It's okay saying, well, we went to Europe. I went to Spain last week, Dave. I come back with no silverware. I went all over Europe with Wolves. Still come back with no silverware. It's just like going on holiday, Dave, having a few drinks with the lads. Like going on holiday. It's only any good, Dave, if you actually win things. You've got to start winning things.
Well, let me just come on that back on. But Peter Yam Yam, I've seen your question about FFP. Save it for the question and answer session at the end. We'll answer that question. If you've got any questions for the end of the show, which is the last 10-minute period, save them all up, because we will be answering all of those. I get what you're saying, Sutty. I mean, in terms of trophies and winning silverware, I know it's something that you talk about, but there is only really 3 trophies Wolverhampton Wanderers can win, unless, as of the men's team, obviously you've got the women's team as well, who've done good progress over the last couple of years. We have to do credit to them. And if they win their league this year, they will get promoted to the Championship. But we can win the League Cup, the FA Cup, and the Premier League. We're not winning the Premier League because we're not, unless it was like a freak like Leicester.
They told us we were, though, Dave.
Within 10 years, and we're 6 years in. So I think he's backtracked a little bit on that. But we do want Wolves. I mean, I'm a fan. I want Wolves to be competing for the Premier League, to win it. I mean, it's deluded we might feel, but we've been there. We've won the top division in the past. We want to be back there challenging again. But the other one is the FA Cup and the League Cup. We want to basically, if we're not going to win the Premier League, be pushing as high up in the table as we can to try and give ourselves to qualify for another European competition. But in the meantime, we want to be challenging to win like get to an FA Cup final or something like that. And I get that. The frustrating thing I think a lot of Wolves fans have is that we got to a high water point under Nuno, where we finished 7th 2 years running. We got to the quarter final and got knocked out by Lopetegui's Sevilla team, even though Raul missed his first penalty that night for a 1-0 lead to Wolves. If it had gone in front, who knows what would have happened, because we didn't lose many games from taking the lead back in them days. And then obviously the semi-final, coasting at 2-0 up against Watford. We all know what happened. You know, these were our high water points. We know that there was a bump in the head between Nuno and Jeff and the board about further investment. It didn't happen. Nuno went. They brought in Bruno Lage. Large ball, Baz ball was brilliant for the first bit of period. We couldn't believe the football that we were playing. Couldn't score goals, but we were playing some pretty brilliant football. Couldn't score goals. Creating chances, couldn't come in. Then it all went. Then when when Large went out on Hoover, it all went downhill from there on end. And he lost the dressing room. And they last summer they went with a plan with Scott Sellers and Bruno Lage, got rid of a lot of leaders out of that dressing room, and we were rudderless for a long point. Lopetegui's come in. The board have backed him. FOSUN did back him in the summer. We have to forget, I know they've not spent a lot of money here. They bought in Cunha for 44 million, Dawson, Lamina, Gomez, all of these players that they've spent a lot of money on in January. And I know they're not bringing them in this window. If we were bringing them in this window, we'd be going, yeah, that's good. But they were brought in January. But that doesn't excuse the fact that most Wolves fans wanted a changing of the guard. They wanted the team freshening up. Part one has started in January with players. Most of them have come on good. Sarabia is probably the one that's not really delivered yet. Nunes came in last summer. Maybe we'll see the best of him this summer. Nunes thinks we're going to finish top 8, by the way. But all we've seen this year so far is free transfers. And we've got a friendly against Porto on Tuesday night. I'm going to blooming Dublin next Saturday to watch Wolves play Celtic. You don't want to see firsthand this team that we've got at the moment. Then we've got the friendly against Luton. We've got the friendly against Rennes. And guess what? 21 days from today, we're at Old Trafford playing Man United, who just battered. I think they were battering Arsenal last night in America. We got United away. 21 days. We've got Tom King and Matt Doherty and 13 people that have gone out the door. So that's why Wolves fans are quite rightly worried. Is something going to happen this week? How are you feeling about that, Sutty? Do you think, and this is a question, do you think FOSUN do not care about Wolves anymore? They don't care. They're done with it. They're just doing what they need to do. Because I know you're pretty, not got a very good view at the moment of FOSUN.
If you go back to Newcastle pre the Saudis taking over, and you had Mike Ashley in charge. Mike Ashley had do just enough to keep them in the Premier League. They got relegated twice in the Mike Ashley tenure, and what he did in that time is he pumped money in to get straight back at the Championship, because he knows there's 180 million quid just in TV rights. Now, when you're in the Premier League, if you get the 180 million, if you're a good owner, your aspirations are to break into Europe. If you break into Europe, you've got to spend money, right? If you win the Europa League, you get £8 million for winning it. But you may have to spend 50, 60 million pound on 2 or 3 extra players to remain in it. I don't think that FOSUN want to do any more than just enough. I think they'll be happy to finish 15th, 16th every year and just keep taking the 180 million, just so the club keeps ticking over. And one day, somebody will have a dabble at it with big money. They paid £30 million for it. And I think if they get all their money back, i.e. 300, 350 for it, because it's a Premier League team, I think they'll sell it. They do not have what's needed to push this team and this club where we think it should be as a top 7 club. I'm not saying we've got to win it, but if you're going to make bold statements that we're going to do this and we're going to do that, and you don't deliver, then guess what? You deserve every pelter you're going to get. Sorry. They ain't for me, Dave. I'm sorry. They've lied too many times. They've let too many people down. They stabbed the greatest manager we've had in 40 years straight between the shoulder blades when he signed a 5-year contract. It beggars belief to me that you get him to sign a big contract like that. You promise him the players. Okay, it was a poor season. It was a COVID season. The bloke never went home to see his bloody family. He was going to be down in the dumps and what have you. But you promised him that money and you renegaded on it. And the bloke, he had nowhere to go. He's a bloke of principle. And they shit on him, Dave. Sorry, it's before 9 o'clock, but they shafted that bloke big time. And they'll do it to anybody. They ain't bothered, Dave. They're not bothered, mate.
Okay. So, I mean, obviously spending the money. We'll talk about the FFP. They have got a lot of money. They did get us to 13th. They bought in Lopetegui. I've been saying trust the process. Surely that we're going to kick on. I'm getting to a point where I was quite honest. I said 2 weeks. Give it 2 weeks, and then I'll start to get a little bit more concerned and worried for exactly the reasons that you're saying in terms of having these players bedding in. Fabio Silva's returned to training. Sasha's come back. Raul's going. Kuna's there. We've said that Chiquinho Bamatov's going out because there's a lot of competition in the forward areas. You know, at the moment, we've got Kuna, Sasha, and Kuna's a number 10, and Fabio. Can Fabio and Sasha be the answer? Maybe, possibly.
Don't know, do you?
Or is
we don't know Fabio when he came back Thursday, didn't he?
Yeah, and we know sort of that he doesn't want to be here, or because of what happened previously. But this is a new regime. Maybe he'll come to life under Lopetegui. Maybe Lopetegui can get the best out of him, because I always thought with Fabio Silva, the price tag was way too much. If it had been 15, 20 million, no one would have said anything. The fact that he came in on 35 million, money wasted, is kind of like, and then you're scrambling around trying to get deals over the line when we spent the likes of 35 million on a wonder kid that's never really played for us. So he did a job in the pandemic when Raul was injured at a very, very young age. He's a lot stronger now. He's been out, I know, playing in other leagues. I always thought he had the movement, but we've got to be able to have the players within the middle of the park and the other forward players that can read his movement to get the ball to him, to give him the chance to score. Because I think he's a natural, instinctive type of striker, which is what we need. But if the ball supply isn't there, you could be Haaland. If they don't get the ball to him,
no, I don't think Haaland would score 20 a season in our team at the moment. We're not progressive enough, Dave. There's too many direct teams within this. We used to bemoan direct football, didn't we? You watch Man City. If that 50-yard ball's on for Haaland to run onto, they will bang it up straight away. They won't tippy-tappy it around like we do and let everybody assemble, get 10 behind the ball and what have you. Sometimes you've got to go long and get that centre forward running on it. We don't do it, Dave. It's too side to side, back, side to side, back. It's turgid to watch. It's shockingly bad to watch. Anybody that comes on here and comments saying to me, we're not that bad. Honestly, what kind of football have you been watching?
Well, I've got to agree with you, because
we've been the worst watch in the Premier League for 18 months.
Agreed. It's been boring football. Just to say, Tim, it's not the end of September. It's the end of August. It's 1st of September that the window closes. It's been boring football. Even under Lars, when he first came in, I couldn't believe the football we were playing. It was magnificent. It was like, who is this team? Had we been putting the ball in the net, Jesus Christ, what a team! What the way we played, and then it all's got the last 18 months. It's been a hard watch. We go home and away most matches, going away, and we've seen 2 wins. One was the Southampton win, which was fantastic. The late goal against Everton. But other than that, you spend a lot of money going to support your team, and then you go to Arsenal last match of the season. It's like we never showed up. I know he's experimenting. We were safe and we didn't care, but like it's still a lot of money the fans spend. Wolves fans, you know, every single fan will forgive anything as long as they give 120, 50, 200% for the badge. You know, they might not be the most talented lot, but if they're giving everything for the shirt and they can see that, they'll get behind that player and they'll forgive anything, even a mistake. What they won't accept are players hiding on the pitch. Absolutely. Fans will not put up with that, and that's when they get on their back. Lopetegui, I don't think is a manager that, you know, takes any crap. I think he's obviously an elite manager. You know, they've got him in, which is why I've been saying trust the process. But the recruitment team have got to give him the tools to do the job that he wants, because we are 13, 12 players light than we were at the end of the season. We've had a lot of experience go out the door. You don't know what's going to happen with Adama. It wouldn't surprise me if he re-signed with us, because Lopetegui wanted him. He's got to sign with someone sooner or later. But we'll have to wait and see on that. But in regards to FOSUN, the one thing that I will say, you know, when we've had owners in the past, we had the Batty brothers, you know, all that stuff that happened. So Jack came in. Even he got stick off the fans at some point, you know, because he had the golden tit thing and what have you. But he's much loved for what he did to take us where he did. Steve, what's his name, come in? Steve Morgan came in, invested his money. It all went pear-shaped. He got abused with him and his family at Preston away, which, you know, I know fans weren't happy, but they should never physically do that. Personally, to me, I always think that's the wrong way of dealing with things. Express your concerns, but don't get like that. Then he did sell up. He sold up for, you know, with Moxie and got FOSUN in, who did a lot of due diligence, FOSUN. They were looking at getting a team. And this is coming back to the point when China were encouraging investment into football and they were investing in their team. FOSUN came in and bought us. And, you know, we were languishing in the Championship. They have got us to languishing in the Premier League. And now the fans are like, we deserve better than this. And maybe we do. But we do have to realise that they delivered and have delivered in doing what they said they were going to do earlier than they said. The pandemic hit. The Chinese thing, as you said, will have had some effect, even though FOSUN are a little bit more exempt than a lot. Birmingham City have just changed owners, Chinese ownership. Albion, well, they could be in real crap next year with what's happened with their owner. Reading were another one. You know, we talk about Southampton. Villa got rid of their owner, Chinese, and look at Villa. You know, FOSUN own multi-billion-pound companies, is so much bigger than Wolves. You know, pharmaceutical companies, they look at Wolves as like the jewel on their crown. It's like more of a prestige thing. And I can't see that a company that sees Wolves as a prestige thing wants to see us fail.
Dave,
if they see us fail, they failed.
Dave, a jewel will only look any good, mate, if you polish it.
That's a great analogy, that is.
It'll go dull, Dave. And you can have the biggest diamond in the world, Dave. If you don't polish it on a regular basis, it'll look crap, right?
That's a really great analysis, that is. And the one thing I want to say, guys, can I just say one thing? We're coming up to an hour, so I hope you don't mind if you stick with us for a bit longer. This is going to be a longer on the ball because we've still got a lot to get in. And Keith, are you all right to stick with us?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Because if you don't mind, guys, we're going to continue past the hour because we've still got a lot to talk about. We've got like 450 of you that are watching. Hopefully, if some of you are new, you'll consider subscribing, liking the video, you know, and then you can engage in the chat once you've subscribed. So, yeah, I agree what you said. There's a lot, you know, Wolves have stood. If you don't invest in this division, you don't continue to invest, you will get caught out eventually. Leicester last year, their owners didn't really put their hand in the pocket. Brendan Rodgers was talking about it. They got relegated. Too good to get relegated. No team's too good to get relegated. Everton, I don't know how they keep staying up every year. They just seem to somehow managed to stay up. Southampton were another team, had a lot of talent, kept selling their best players. They've gone down. You know what I mean? And we saw Coventry in the past that did exactly the same thing. And when you go down, it's not easy to come back out of that championship.
No.
So you're right. We've got to keep polishing the jewel. And we're if there's any of the Wolves board that watch, and I know sometimes they do, as fans, we don't want to be stood here criticising or moaning or anything like that. We want to be singing the praises. We want to say well done, and we'll give credit where credit's due. And this channel will always try to be fairly even-keeled and give a voice to everyone to come on and say, but like, guys, it's 6 weeks since the end of the season. You bought in 2 free transfers. We're playing United in 3 weeks. 3 weeks tomorrow. You know, we've got big games coming up. And don't forget, Wolves did miss out as well on the commercial side at the South Korea. That's another thing that went wrong this season, similar to last year. Nobody's fault, but it happened. It all look, you know, you look at the ground as well. It all looks a little bit of a mess. The paint that you've seen people posted on. I mean, Jason Guy did a really good Photoshop where he solved the problem really, really quickly and put some Photoshop over. But like, some of the ground looks grubby and dirty. It's a Premier League stadium, for God's sakes. What do you think about the stadium situation, Sutty? What's your take on that?
It's shocking, really. Molyneux's terrible. We'll always love it, Dave, but it's big. I mean, that Steve Bull stand and that thing that's next to the South Bank. I mean, if that's their idea of upping capacity, one, it looks hideous. There's better stands in the National League, right? That is abysmal for a Premier League. They shouldn't have been allowed to do it, Dave. If you're going to do it, right, I want to tell you something now, Dave. We'll go on to the Villa. I hate the Villa, right? Not as much as Albion, but I hate the Villa. I'll admit it. I do not like them. They are miles ahead of us. 6 years ago, they were 6 weeks from going into administration, right? If they hadn't got promoted, the season they got promoted, they were in huge, huge financial problems, right? They're now, well, in 6 years, they've gone 3 years in front of us, Dave.
They've still can't beat us, though, can they, Sutty?
I don't want Aston Villa to be my cup final, Dave. I want to take the 3 points off them, laugh at them and walk on. I do not want them to be what I have to look forward to every year, but they still pump us by 20-odd points. They've got a plan. They've finished above us. They've got a plan. They've got no better manager than what we've got. But the difference being, Dave, is they sold the ground back to themselves to generate loads and loads of money to be able to spend. Why don't FOSUN do that, Dave? There's an idea in it. Buy the ground.
The buying the ground thing is quite an interesting thing that you say. And there's a lot of clubs that have gone down the buying the ground thing. And then I'll look at likes of Coventry City, who sold their ground
twice, Dave. Villa.
Yeah, but Coventry City, point of fact, sold their ground and then fell out with wherever happened with who they sold the ground to and the rights to and stuff like that. And then they've only just got their ground back. And they've gone through terrible. And there's a couple of...
Dave, think about it, Dave. These Villa owners, they've done it to become a better team. They're not going to do that to Villa, Dave. They're on the up. They finished the season. They knew these two. They knew the 3 players, Tielemans and Pau Torres and Diaby. They knew who they wanted. They've got them straight away. Got them. They're done and dusted. They're going to absolutely melt us this season, Dave, if we don't get some proper quality in. They're going to absolutely tear shreds out of us. And good on them if they do, because they've got good owners. They're doing the ground up. They're ripping one part of the stand down. It's going to get to 50-odd thousand. That allows them to spend more money again, Dave, while we've sat twiddling our thumbs while the Steve Bull falls down. All the ground looks a bit of a tip. We've got a temporary stand in the corner, the Gene Kelly stand, where everybody gets drenched in midwinter with their little yellow Macs on. It's embarrassing, Dave. We cannot sit here and say, whoa, we're really proud of how this. If you sit in here now saying you're proud of how this club is being run, then God almighty. I was there when there was 2 stands open. I don't know if you were, Dave. And I'm getting the same sort of feelings now as when there was 2 stands open. But we knew then, Dave, we had nothing. We knew all we had then was spirit and a bit of dogged fight, because it was like the world was against us, Dave. These people have got lots and lots of money, Dave. Lots of money. There are means and ways around getting around this FFP thing. And the trouble you've got with this FFP thing is it's all to do with being self-sustainable. No club in Premier League history has done anything being self-sustainable other than get relegated.
Okay, there's quite a few people, Sutty, that have come on in the chat. There's a lot that agree, but there's quite a few that have said that FOSUN are running us properly, like a proper business, that type of thing. I mean, how would you answer that? I mean, because they 6 years establishing the Premier League, they came in, they did the business, they made changes in January, they got rid of Sellers, they got Lopetegui in, they invested in him, they backed him, they're having to be careful at the moment. They got Hobbs in. He said at the start of the window, we're going to have to sell to buy. Would you not agree that they're looking at? But there's another argument that, again, guys, that says, like, why aren't they invested in the stand? They talked about this. They put a plan out with Molineux. The Steve Bull stand, a lot of people sitting there, and it's not really fit for purpose. But if Wolves are to, and Wolves can invest in facilities outside of FFP, they can upgrade the stand. They can invest in things like that, because that is not covered under FFP. But if they do major work, they can dig down on the one side and stuff like that. But there will probably have to be a reduction in capacity at Molineux to get the capacity up to something like 45,000. How many of you on the channel here would, if FOSUN came out and said, look, we've looked at all the eventualities, we can't keep Molineux where it is and do the upgrade because it's going to reduce the capacity and the ability to make revenue and people to come and watch. We'll stick at Molineux, we'll build a brand new ground near the M54. Simple yes, no question. And we're going to go to Sutty first. How many of you now, 2 or 3 years on, would go, no way, I'd rather stick with what we got and have the condition that it's in? Or would be going, yes, I'll take that if we can get a new modern stadium? Simple yes, no in the chat. Sutty, give us your views.
Well, for me, I'm 53 now, and I actually want to see us win something before I shuffle off this mortal soil, Dave. And the only way we're going to do that, Molineux generates nothing, Dave, for 13 days of every fortnight, virtually. If they built a new stadium, that would have casinos, it would have cinemas, it would have shops, that would generate so much money, and it would put us on a different level. Not only that, that plot of land in the middle of that city will be worth an absolute fortune. So if you want to start winning things, you've either got to make that stadium 50,000, or you got to move 45, 50,000, or you got to move, and you got to get people wanting to go there, Dave. And the way you're going to get people to go there is to play attractive, free-flowing football, where you're going to win a lot of games. Because if you're playing the turgid rubbish we've been watching, they ain't going to go, Dave. Simple. It's not rocket science.
I'm really surprised here. I mean, there's a few that's saying no, but I'm really surprised at the amount of people that are saying yes to moving, because it was a few years ago.
The only way you'll win anything.
But a few years ago, it's sacrilege to move Molineux. I mean, it was a big backlash, but there's a lot of people that are saying, I mean, agents know. But there's a lot of people here that are saying yes to moving, which is keep Molyneux and Jill just need buffing up, Tips and Wolves. Yeah. There's a lot.
You've either got to upgrade it, Dave. You upgrade it to get more people in, which will then generate more money. It cannot stay as it is. You ain't going to do nothing. And why aren't they? If they're that hell bent on us being self-sustainable, they went to 6 years now. We were promised an upgrade bloody 3 years ago before the pandemic. They made, let's just wait for it, Dave. In the pandemic, they made $1.3 billion profit. Now, there was nobody in stadiums for 12 months. You answer that one, Dave.
Well, I am actually flabbergasted actually by because I thought there'd be a lot of no's. John says, where are you going to go? The big plot of land by the M54, basically. Jones, no, never. But I'm really surprised.
I'm not adverse not to moving, Dave. What I'm saying is you can't stay there as it is. You're never going to compete. You can't. So you've either got to make that state of the art, which would make my day. It really would. I think this is it. Fantastic. At last, we've got another 10,000 people in every week, twice a week, wherever it is. Brilliant. If they regenerate it all, there'll be more shops and everything around it, not just that Asda. It would be brilliant. But you cannot stay as you are with 33,000. You're going to get relegated. It's not good enough, Dave. It's a tin pot. It's my tin pot and it's your tin pot of a ground. I love it, but it ain't going to get us any trophies or anything, Dave.
Well, you've always come across about no emotional attachment other than to the badge and the shirt and the name and the colours and all that sort of jazz. So we're going to move on now because we've talked a lot about FOSUN and the thing. Someone said in the thing, before we get onto the shirt, the new shirt, and then opening up for questions, why aren't you talking about the quality that we have within the squad? We have talked, fairly openly about what's been going on, but now, Sutty, talk about the quality that that Julian Lopetegui has got within the squad currently that we've got. You just any thoughts on that?
There is quality, but is there quality in depth, Dave? There lies your problem. We're unproven up front, aren't we? Completely across the front line at the moment. So if we don't buy centre forwards, we're pinning our ropes on Cunha, Silva, and Sasa. Now, hey, I've already said on here tonight, if I've got this completely wrong, I'm not the football expert at the end of the day. Lopetegui is, and if he's gone to his board and said, "These three are mustard. I want these three. Get rid of Jimenez. I don't need him. These three are going to do it for me. I can use Wang straight through the middle as well. We're going to get 50 goals this year. If we do it, Dave, I'll come on here end of next season. I'll go, everybody, I'm sorry, I got this totally wrong. I'll keep my mouth shut. But at present, I'm a bit worried, Dave, because it's not so much that I don't think they will go and buy somebody. It's the rate in which they're doing it, Dave, because we're going to be miles behind.
Well, Sutty, you'll have more than opportunity because obviously Extra Time will be back, the phone-in show where, all of you guys can call in and have your view. And we'll be talking about the game and the previous week on Extra Time. And obviously as the season unfolds, we'll be able to get a flavour, especially over the first couple of months of the season. We'll have a really good picture because by the first couple of months of the season, the first 10 games, I always think the first 10 to 15 games, you get an idea. We'll kind of know, won't we? And she's coming for the cup of tea, the producer in the background there. Thanks, Emma. She's doing me another cuppa. But so, mate, you're a regular on Extra Time. We love having you on. People do love hearing from you because, you do speak for a lot of people and their frustrations. I promised Paul Harris, who does give me a bit of stick sometimes. We don't always agree, but I promised 2 weeks today that if we hadn't signed anyone, we would have a really serious debate about the goings on. And, I'm concerned, and I'm fairly level in how I look at things. I try to look at the balance, and I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. And I'm still giving the benefit of the doubt and saying, let's wait and see. But I have gone from, that side of like, oh, it's all right, chill out, it's only a commercial. And I'm kind of going more and more to, I'm getting a bit worried now. I'm getting a bit concerned now, for exactly those reasons. And the reason why we bring up the Molyneux as well, because we talk about revenues, we talk about the fact that they can invest. There was a big consensus of no way, Jose, will we ever move from Molyneux. But I'm surprised by how many people are probably thinking if it means that we can progress and they can get a plot of land and do all of that you said, there seems to be more people that would be open to it. It would damage the city centre. So let's wait and see on that. Are you happy to now talk about the new shirt before we open to questions?
Yeah.
So, guys, another thing that happened this week is that Wolves finally launched the home kit, which you can see on the screen now. Yeah, you can see that, all right, mate?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Wolves finally have launched their home kit. I did a big fan review on that, which went down really, really well. What's your take on the home shirt, mate?
Nice.
You like it?
I don't really buy them, Dave, to be honest. You know me. I wear the pin badge and that's it. But my boy always has them, and he's give it a glowing report, Dave. So that's good enough for me.
Well, interestingly, when we did, and if you haven't watched it, check out, it was the Last But One video. Check it out, because we had about 8 or 9, 10 fans come on and give their views on it. Virtually all of them were a bit like you, lush, like it, nice and clean, a nod back to the 80s in the collar and some of the pinstripes and stuff like that. I'm not a big. What are you? What's your take on the second kit? The red.
Not for me, Dave.
It ain't for me either. I've got to be honest. The more I see it, I do think it looks like.
I don't think it's actually red though, Dave. It's almost sort of. It's not like the wine-coloured one we had before, the Portuguese theme thing, but it's not actually bright red if you look at it.
No, I've seen it in.
It's not like that red behind me.
I've seen it in person. I know a few people are thinking, and I'm not. I just no. I kind of I've hated seeing these pictures every week when they're playing the friendlies, all wearing in red. It's not for me. See what the third kit's like.
Drives
as well.
me nuts because we don't clash with anybody, do we? You could wear our own kit to every game, home and away. We don't clash with anybody really. So I'd play in that every week if I could. Yeah,
lots of people are saying they love the home card. The red says it reminds me when Cardiff changed the view. Guys, what are your thoughts on the pricing of the home shirt? It's £60 for the replica kit. It's obviously a lot more for the exact pro kit. People have debates about the cost of a home shirt. I'll just want to put this graphic up here on the screen. This is a graphic of the average costs so far announced of home shirts. You can see that Nottingham Forest home shirt is £75. They've put it up 26%. Brentford's is 60, Bournemouth 65, West Ham 75, Arsenal 80, Fulham 80, Man United 80, Burnley's 55, Brighton 60, Palace 60, Wolves 60, Everton 65, City 75, Liverpool nearly 75, Villa 70, Newcastle 70, Luton 59, Tottenham 80, and Chelsea and Sheffield United yet to be announced. I just want to make that point when people moan about the cost of the home shirt, because it's £60, and if you've got to buy it for a lot of people, it can be a lot of money. But you can go in, unless you're going to shop at Primark, get some cheap shirts. If you go and buy a nice shirt, you're going to pay 60 quid for a shirt or a jumper or something like that. This is something that you can choose to buy or choose not to buy, in my opinion. And you're going to wear it all year, and then you're going to wear it again years to come casually and stuff like that. You don't have to buy it. If I don't like a shirt, I won't buy it. I won't buy the red. But like, put that into context for what you've just seen with the cost of shirts at other clubs. You have to say fair play to Wolves, really, because they are on the lower price range. I don't know what your take is on that.
Well, I mean, they're all roughly the same. Like your London clubs and Northwest clubs will always charge the most. But it's one of them, Dave, when you've got a son or a daughter that wants it, you go in that club shop, close your eyes, pay the bill, walk out, don't you?
Yeah.
It's quite simple. But they're always going to be around about that price. I ain't got a problem with it. It's a way of getting money through the coffers again for me.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I'm saying. I mean, Paul's just gone low income families. I get that. I completely get it. But like, you know, cost of living, everything. It's like paying to go to watch and support your team. Hundreds and hundreds of pounds, thousands of pounds. A shirt, 60 quid that you buy for a year, less than £1 a year. You don't have to buy it there and then. If you wait a little bit down the season, they often do discounts when the players announce, or if you wait a little bit longer to Christmas, you tend to get them a bit cheaper as well. And you can choose to buy or to not buy the kit. There's a lot of stuff that Wolves sell, you know, they hoodies. Unfortunately,
though, Dave, nowadays, it's not the working class man's game anymore, Dave, where you could take your kids and get a bag of chips on the way home for 20 quid. It's just not that game anymore. So they're not, this will sound terrible. I'm from the biggest council estate in Worcestershire, born and bred. They not Premier League football clubs aren't looking at those kind of people. They want money people coming through there. It's simple. They want you to go into that club shop. They want you to buy pints of beer. They want you to buy hot dogs at £5 a go that are really only worth about 20p. They want you to do that to generate money. Years ago, we used to buy a pie and get in for a fiver and get a program. They've gone, Dave. It's gone. The game's changed. And unfortunately, like I say, it's not aimed at working class people anymore.
No, but there's a lot of people that are being priced out of football, and I completely get that. You know, you look at your season ticket every year and you're like, okay, you want to support your club because it's part of your club. And they know it's a bit like when you go to an airport and you know, you've got a Frankie and Benny's, and they're about 20% more expensive than a normal Frankie and Benny's because they've got a captive audience.
Yeah.
So it is a bit like that, and I get it. You know, Wolves do have fan liaison groups, match day experience groups. They have a retail group. I know this because you know, Emma's on the retail group, and they talk about all of these things and stuff like that. So they listen to fan feedback. One of the things they do push back on that is the cost of kits and keeping it in line and as low as possible. And they plan 18 months in advance. But I also will say, when you're talking about investment in the team, they've got to raise revenue somehow. Revenue is raised from match day tickets, match day sales. Revenue is raised from the commercial operation of the club in terms of selling products. People used to moan about the range of product at Wolves in terms of it used to be crap. You can go into the Wolves shop and you can buy anything. There's such a variety and a range of products that you can buy to suit everyone. And that was something that people were asking for. They've asked it for women's fit shirts. They've started to do that as well. The more range for children, because people have been demanding these sort of things. Obviously, it's an expensive business. You can choose to spend your money, or you can choose not to. But if people weren't buying the products, they wouldn't be there for them to think. So it is economics, and that money should go into the club as part of the infrastructure. But the other thing with buying a season ticket and investing, you do need value for money with any type of business. And this is why improvements to the ground And the match day experience is such an important thing. Like, obviously, they've had the initiatives with the old gold pack with the flags and trying to create the atmosphere better. I know we've had input in terms of the sound system and the build up to the match and stuff like that. Value for money is really important. If you're paying for a product and you're getting poor value for money, then your customers are not happy. This comes back to the quality of football, the quality of the facilities at the ground, the quality of the products, all of these sort of things. Value for money is really important. And when people feel they're being ripped off, that's when they get annoyed. So they've got to get this little balance going along. So personally, I will get the home top. I'm not getting the away top. I walked into the store the other day, looked at a few products, saw the Wolves, LA Wolves shirt, 60 quid. I tried it on and I thought, I'm not paying 60 quid for that. I'll wait for the shirt to come out. That's my take on that. And now we're going to open the floor to questions for me and Keith. You can fire anything at us for the last 10 or 15 minutes and we'll do our best to answer. Are you going to get the home shirt this year? Are you just going to knit for your boy, Sutty?
Just for the lad. I ain't bought one for years, Dave. I'm not one for wearing club colours, to be honest, Dave.
I'm surprised you've not got one of your trendy tracky tops on tonight, mate, to be fair. You normally have.
Well, I haven't got a trendy tracky top on, but I've got a nice T-shirt on, Dave. Bit of Moncler.
Very, very nice. Very nice. Dave of the Dead, I love his name. I think that's a twist on Shaun of the Dead. Says he hopes someone from the club is watching this. It would be nice to think someone would. Right, first question is from Jay Stanford. This came up last week, but I've given my view. Who's your captain?
Dawson.
You're going to go with Dawson? Yeah. Let's have a look on some more questions here. 3 positions, Keith. Sutty, we must have quality in.
Well, I think we need another right back. No, we got the left back, sorry, because I think ain't Nori will go yet. So I think we need another left back. So I don't really want to be relying on
Cresswell coming in, mate. Cresswell.
I don't want him, Dave. I don't want him. I'd rather keep Giles, Dave.
Yeah, I'd like to see Giles. I
still think we need a centre forward, Dave.
I do too. They have been linked with a couple. If you've been watching, guys, make sure you do subscribe to the channel. If you're not listening to it back on a thing, because I say you can join in the chat. We're 26,000 short of 30,700. But more importantly, we do regular updates on the channel with all the latest developments on transfer windows. We do at least 2 full rounders on the transfer window every week. If you put the bell on, you'll be we give a real good update on that. So, yeah, a striker.
I think we need definitely need a centre forward, Dave. And I do think we need. I'm excited to see young Gomez play.
Yeah,
I think Nunes. I'm not totally against my own football club, just in case everybody thinks I am. I think Nunes. I'm hoping Nunes will come out of the shadow of Ruben Neves.
Yeah, like he did when he was off a couple of weeks.
Pardon?
When he was out for 2 games, we won both games.
Yeah, well, I just think running from deep with the ball, he's been played out of position as well, Dave. Let's not forget this. At the moment, it looks like we've wasted 40 million quid.
There's another massive investment, 40 million pounds on a player.
Yeah, there's a player there, Dave, because at Sporting Lisbon, and I'll hold my hands up, when we signed him last season, Dave, I'm like, here we go. We're serious here. And I thought the same of Guedes. And to be honest, I thought the same of Collins. And it probably goes down at the moment, Dave, as probably our worst transfer window ever on record.
Well, Guedes.
For money spent.
Guedes.
So that just goes to show how much I know. But I would definitely like to see these players flourish. And if we finish 8th, like he thinks we will, I promise you I'll come on here and apologise to every one of you.
Yeah, I'll have to think of a better forfeit for you than that. To be fair, I'll think.
I ain't wearing an Albion top, Dave.
No chance. We're going to get you to do that, but we'll think of something. Reece Stallard wants to know where you think we will finish. I guess you can only talk as we stand at the moment.
As we stand at the moment. Well, again, there would just about be, I would say, 15th, 16th.
15th, 16th. But if we invest
top
half. See, I think we can get a top half finish, but we've got to get the right players in. Peter Yam 54. Thank you, Peter, for bringing this back. I know you brought it up earlier. One of our members. And guys, if you want to be a member of the channel, Keith's a member of the channel. You know, it supports what we do. Just sign up. We'll get you on the Discord group. I guarantee you we have lots of chats and debates each and every day about everything on the channel, on the Discord group, the private members Discord group. So I'd encourage you to become a member. Peter Yam 54 became a member, and which is why he's got his little badge, and you get emojis and all sorts as well. How much money would you say we have to spend? I'm going to go to you first, Keith, and I'm going to give you my answer.
Well, we've got rid of 11 so far, Dave. We do not need to replace 11 players. Our squad, believe it or not, was huge.
Yeah,
there was something like 33 players in it, so it needed thinning out, Dave. Let's get that bit straight for a start. But I think they're not going to spend over 15 million. They said, didn't they, or something on a player? Well,
they said that, but that's already gone out the window because they've bid 20 million.
If they're going for Alex Scott and they've bid 22, that's not correct, really, is it? But I think they're going to be looking to spend somewhere in the region of about 80 million quid.
See, I think currently we have 50 million to spend, and that's including wages, and that's over 2 transfer windows. I think that's over this transfer window and the next one. As it stands, that's as it stands at the moment. I reckon 50, 60 million tops. That's my thought. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But if they're going to spend 25 million of that on Alex Scott, then we've got maybe 30 million to spend on the rest. But this is why, in some ways, the free transfer for Matt Doherty coming in means that there's money available elsewhere. And if they do bring in Cresswell for 2.53 million, not saying they will or they won't, but if that releases money to be spent in forward areas, then maybe that's a trade-off that we
don't forget as well, Dave. They're sort of hitting South America big time now, as they did with Portugal, and you get a lot more for your money in South America.
You do. I mean, someone said about Neves and Declan Rice. Declan Rice is English. His values, or if it's an English player, it's almost, which is why Ryan Giles, I know what nationality is he, but he's homegrown. £4 million. It's like, crazy. But like Declan Rice is English. He's gone from West Ham to think it's a bit like Jack Grealish, English. The values are always about 30-40% higher. Miles wants to know, he's watching on Facebook, because this is on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube simultaneously, and of course it'll be out on podcast in the morning. Miles wants to know, which player are you looking forward to watch the most this season?
Joe Gomez.
Joe Gomez, yeah, I think the same for me. Joe Gomez, I think he could be the man.
That's why I'm not worried about Neves going, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, Lamina was great. Nunes. I mean, if you think, our midfield before January was literally Moutinho, Neves, and who's the other one? Hodge, was it? And then we bought in Gomez, Lamina, and Nunes, yeah. So, I mean, if we bring in Alex Scott as well, that's a lot of quality midfielders. I'd really, really, really love Fabio Silva to be in the team, killing it. I'd love him to come good and then turn around and just do the proverbial finger, whatever, not actually literally, but just go have the trust and for him to come good. But like we say this about a lot of things, he'll come good. He'll come good. Fabio Silva's one that could work, and I hope his attitude that he's come back to Wolves. Although I know he said with PSV, I want to be here next year. I've had a conversation this week with someone that kind of knows his family, who basically said he's going to be at Wolves for a month and then he's going to go because he wants out. But that's a view that he had from when he was here. He doesn't feel like he was supported well enough. But the one thing that I will say on that, it's changed a lot in terms of the infrastructure, the people that are behind the scenes. It's changed. Okay, Jeff's still there, but Jeff said he was his boy. A bit like, who was the guy that we had? It was his boy before. Can't think his name. Went to Leeds or whatever it was.
Costa,
that's the one. I hope he comes in with an attitude that he's going to have a smile on his face. He's working with an elite manager who obviously talks the lingo as well. A different set of coaches, a different set of, to when he was here the last time. It's a fresh start for Fabio Silva under this manager. And if Fabio Silva comes with a mindset that he forgets everything that's happened before with him and the fans during the frustration, the pandemic and everything else, and the fans show him the love, which as a young lad he wants, and he performs. I mean, he scored home and away against the Baggies, no fans there. I really think he could come good. I hope so. So that's my answer. I'd like to see him come good. I'm just running down any more questions. Dave, what was the process? Only asked, said weeks ago. To repeat, trust the process. Trust the process. The process is going at the moment. We're starting to question the process, aren't we? That's what we're doing at the moment. We are questioning the process. Here's a good one. Another one. Who's going to take the set pieces? It'd be Creswell if he comes in, wouldn't it? He's a good set piece taker. Who do you think will be the surprise hit this season? Some good questions here.
Well, I think it'll be. I really do believe in João Gomez. I really do believe it. As soon as we thought that Neves was going, we thought he was going to go last season, didn't we, Dave? But as soon as I seen him play at Southampton, you remember the game well, won't you? When he scored, I thought this is the natural successor for Neves, and I think he'll play further up the pitch as well. Neves was wasted at times. Look, people have got it all wrong what I've said. I've said Neves was a very, very good player for us. That's on record on here. What I did say was Neves is not world class. He isn't world class. If he was world class, he would be in the Portuguese side first on the sheet every week, every international tournament. He's not. No British clubs came in for him. So I'm not too disappointed he's gone, especially with 47 million quid for a year left on your contract. Yeah. It's an amazing deal. It's got us out of the proverbial, hasn't it, Dave? Let's be honest. That deal has helped us get out of it. If we hadn't sold him, we'd be in even more trouble if that's how far we are in trouble. But I think that João Gomez was bought in January knowing he was going.
Yeah, absolutely. Alex Bedford says, don't we have another Traore in midfield? Of course, there's Boubacar as well. Good point. I'm just looking. Silva with a point to prove. Window doesn't close till the 1st of September, says Stu. So expect moves to be made late in August. Maybe, but that's the point. I didn't want to give him a show. AH reckons that Silva has potential, but my heart tells me he still doesn't want to be at Wolves. This is what I'm saying. We want him to have that positive attitude that he comes back.
Can I just quickly go back to that point where that lad said about we'll make our move mid to late August?
Yeah.
I know he wasn't everybody's cup of tea, Dave, but we signed Dendoncker in mid to late August. Yeah. And if you remember rightly, he made his debut at the end of November, early December when we played Chelsea, because he just wasn't up to he weren't up to speed with what the team were doing. Now, if you're buying players in mid to late August and you expect them to jump straight into the Premier League, it ain't gonna happen, Dave. now. You've got to do it now. This is the latest. If they ain't coming in this week, we are going to be in big, big trouble.
Let's hope that there is some movement. Maybe the Raul sale will help do that. Someone mentioned who's going to be the surprise package this, and I had because I've got a piece in my ear. Well, I haven't really, but it's in the back room. The producer Sutty Sarabia is going to be the surprise package of the season. Pablo Sarabia, heard it here first from the producer. Joss, another member. Dave and Sutty under the FOSUN era. Who's your favourite signing and biggest disappointment?
Favourite signing under the FOSUN era?
Yeah.
Well, it would be Neves.
Yeah.
For me, for consistency and the longevity of the FOSUN era, because he's probably been the longest one, hasn't he? Came in a year after. But for consistency, it would be Neves. And just to say again, I'm not saying he's a poor player. People pick it. As soon as you have a little thing about Neves, everybody jumps on you. It's not the point with me. What I'm saying is he's not a world-class player. But it would be Neves. But most disappointing, got to be Guedes.
Yeah, I'm with you on Guedes, really, as well. Craig, you said, would you give Nathan Fraser a go?
He's 18, isn't he?
Young lad.
Bangs him in for fun for the kids, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's got an eye for goal. And I've always
he's gone to Spain, isn't he, or Portugal?
I think he's gone with the club. I'll be having a look for him. Dan said Nathan Fraser for the cup matches, maybe see how he is, that type of thing. But then again, we want to progress in the cup. It's going to be a very interesting week. As I say, Tuesday night, guys, make sure that you subscribe, because we're not going to Porto, but we are going to be bringing back a watch along. We're going to do a watch along. So make sure you subscribe to that so we can watch the pain unfold live on the screen. So we're going to do a watch along on Tuesday for Porto, and then get this right. Next Saturday morning, we looked at getting a hotel in Dublin at like 800 quid. We looked at a hostel. It's £200 each for a bed in a 6-roomed hostel. Lot of money. Flights are reasonable. We're getting on a plane at 7:30. Me and the producer. I'm actually meeting Chris for breakfast. Sutty, and he's got a ticket next to us. And we're getting on a plane. We've got nowhere to stay. And then at 8:30 we're on a plane, and then at 7:30 the next morning we're on a plane back. Nowhere to sleep. We're just going to keep going, mate. It's
like fourth division days, Dave.
It's what?
That's like being in the 4th division again. You didn't worry about where you're going to sleep when you're having a weekend in Torquay.
Well, yeah, it's like that. But like I'm not a young whippersnapper like it was before, so I'm going to be absolutely cream crackers. But we're going to be doing a lot of content around the Celtic game as well, and we will be doing. Even though I'm shattered, I'll probably come in and sleep, but we will be doing a on the ball next Sunday night to talk about the week's events again. Dan says, fair play, that's commitment. I think quite a few Wolves fans are actually doing it. Barry says, bring the Ducks out again. The Ducks, by the way, are sitting in the corner down there. So they're still here, still plugging around. Merv says, the pubs don't shut, Dave. You'll be fine. Josh said, should have looked at Stay City on Little Mary Street. It was dirt cheap when I went in February. Yeah, the thing is, Josh.
It's finals day, isn't it, Dave, or something?
Yeah, it's the Gaelic football, I think, finals the day after. And that's why prices are so expensive. It's going to be quite. That's why it's expensive. So we've decided we're going to go. We're going to rock it, and we're just going to pretend we're like, little teens, 20-something, and just go and crack through. Chris will be dragging. I'll be dragging Chris around with us as well, so he'll be there too. So we're going to have a crack. We know that Dinny from Ireland, from Cork in Ireland, who's one of our international representatives. He's going to the game as well, so we'll hopefully catch up with him. And yes, as Carl says, the Gaelic football final after the Wolves versus Celtic. It'll be interesting to see, Sutty, how many people turn up for that game. There's a game, I think a Man U game 8 days later against some European team. That's sold out. But Celtic, it's going to be like a home game for them, isn't it?
It will be, yeah. Absolutely. There'll be thousands there for Celtic.
So it's going to be literally like an away game for Wolves.
Yeah.
It is like a home game for Celtic, but we'll enjoy the crack. We'll give it, we're going to put plenty of content up around it. And, we'll be doing the watch along on Tuesday. Guys, make sure you are subscribed, like for all the latest updates, Wolves news, breaking news, all that sort of jazz. Make sure you subscribe and have the bell notifications, because we will bring it to you here. If you're listening to this back on the podcast, leave us a rating on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And if you're watching it back on Catch Up, as a lot of people do, they watch it back on Catch Up, please feel free to comment in the comment section below. Sutty, how have you found it? Thanks for sticking with us for an hour and 40 minutes. It's the longest on the ball show, but I thought it might be.
No, it's been great, Dave. Thank you for having me.
It's welcome. People love hearing from you, mate. And obviously you will be back for extra time as well. And hopefully we'll catch up with you during the season. We'll have a little chat at the end as well when we've done. Guys, thank you for joining us tonight. I hope you've enjoyed this show. If you have, take half a second to smash a like button. And I say, if you're new, please support by subscribing. People have gone into Classic. Chris Humphries wants to know where the barber is so he can go there. Apparently Josh said the Brazen Head's the oldest pub in thingy. Barry Wells said, well done. Loads of people saying good. Thanks, lads. Stay safe. Well done and see you soon. Guys, thanks for joining us here on Always Wolves and On the Ball. Love to you and your families, wherever you are. We'll just keep hoping the meter doesn't keep swinging to the stressed out level and the signings do come in and we get the swingometer moving a little bit the way. But questions still have to be asked. People are apprehensive. We don't want to be struggling in a relegation battle again next season. We want to be playing some attractive football, winning some football games, and aspiring to win a pot if we can and finish as high at the table. We don't want to be going through boring football and not scoring goals. We want our club back to where it was 3 years ago, challenging for things. And let's hope that, the likes of Sutty and people do come on here in 2 months' time and go, do you know what? Fair play. We're doing good, but the jury is out. Until the next one, from me and Sutty, always Wolves.